It is a story you cannot make up. The New York Times is reporting that independent presidential candidate RFK Jr. said in a deposition in 2012 that a doctor told him a worm got into his brain, ate a portion of it, and then died. CNN's chief medical correspondent, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, joins me now. Dr. Gupta, Sanjay, great to see you as always.
Good morning.
We thought you'd be perfect for this. You are a neurosurgeon. And I have to, the question I had instantly when I saw this is, well, besides the question, do I have one? But how common might this be? Does this happen?
Yeah, this does happen. I mean, obviously, we're just hearing about it from RFK himself. But I can tell you, as a neurosurgeon, it's a rare condition, but it's typically something that is caused by eating undercooked pork. And again, we don't know this for sure, but just based on the description that we're hearing, sounds very much like this, where you eat undercooked pork and the larvae get into your bloodstream and then basically can spread throughout the body in the bloodstream. They can go to all sorts of different organs, including the brain, Jim. So again, it's unusual. But let me show you an image here. This is what it might look like in someone's brain. When you do an MRI scan, you might see these areas, and you can see them in purple there, Jim, where they basically look like little cysts, essentially, in the brain. And that is the porkworm larvae that gets in there. Sometimes it just is sort of sitting there, doesn't cause any kind of problems. Sometimes it can cause other symptoms like headaches or even seizures. And again, we don't know specifically what happened with him or if this is actually it, but this does happen a few thousand times a year, and sometimes they even require surgery, Jim.
Yeah, I was going to say, and you've actually operated on these kinds of worms. What's that like?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'll show you if I can on this brain model, if you can see this. But basically, you know, imagine that image that I just showed you, and you could have these tiny little spots, typically on top of the brain or closer to the surface of the brain. And you basically go in and, similar to a tumor in a way, you would go in and basically just remove that cyst. Now, that is not typically necessary or often necessary. Sometimes it doesn't require any treatment at all. Sometimes it requires medications, anti-parasitic medications, and in some cases it might require surgery. I will say this, that because of the location of these types of cysts, they're not usually associated with memory loss, because I think that's what took RFK to the doctors in the first place, memory loss and generalized brain fogginess. Typically it's more associated with, if any symptoms, headaches and seizures and things like that.
Well, yeah, that was one thing I was wondering, Sanjay, and that is, might this affect somebody's cognitive function, the way their brain functions?
Not typically, Jim. I think there was a couple of things in the article. They said that, could this be causing the brain fogginess? Not typically. You might find it because someone is getting scanned for these symptoms, and then they see this. So that would be considered more of an incidental finding. And if it's calcified, not causing any inflammation, really you don't necessarily need to do anything about it. Another thing that was mentioned in the article was mercury poisoning that he talked about, saying that he had 10 times the level. That could be more associated with brain fog or memory loss. But even then, it's a whole host of symptoms that might be associated with it.
All right, we knew you were the perfect expert to go to on this, Sanjay. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. And we do want to note, RFK Jr. told the Times he had recovered from the memory loss and fogginess, had no after effects from the parasite, he says, and he said that did not require treatment. The Times asked last week if any of Kennedy's health issues could compromise his fitness for the presidency, and a spokesperson responded, quote, "That is a hilarious suggestion given the competition." That is a quote from the spokesperson. And CNN has reached out to his campaign, have not heard back.